I'm Andrew Levine, the head of communications for Steemit, and this is an excerpt from an interview I conducted recently with Mahbod Moghadam, one of the co-founders of RapGenius and Everipedia. In the full interview, we talk about everything decentralized entrepreneurship and marketing. So for that full interview, follow the link below. We basically have two demographics on Steem, I would say. It's highly technical people, developers, who are interested in the protocol, who are interested in the technical sides of the space. But we've also got all of these content creators who are struggling to figure out what to do, what kind of content to create. Is there any advice you could give to them about finding a project, how they can channel their skills of creating content and getting people excited about a story into working at an organization, at a startup, at a tech company, as somebody who does not have a technical background, but has now worked into at least two that I know of highly technical organizations?
Well, I'm actually being drawn by the Steemit cartoonist, Janina. So shouts out. I'm really excited to see the drawing. I am using the services of the community. I think it's good to branch out to a lot of stuff, not obviously. So our big project right now is we want to make Everipedias for all of the Steemit influencers. We're featuring someone every day, like yours was featured, Janina's was featured, but it doesn't just stop there. Like my tools of the trade, the way I built my companies are my centralized overlords. I'm obsessed with Facebook, Twitter. Like now I'm getting into Telegram, but still, Facebook and Twitter for me are like the alpha and the omega. That's really how I build what I build. So you just got to be on everywhere and try to get your feelers out. I check my messages on every platform. I always find it interesting when someone's like, yeah, I check my Telegram and my DMs, but I don't have time to check Messenger. And it's like, if someone wants to communicate with me, I'm going to check everywhere to be able to respond to their communication. Because like, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get people to talk to me, to get them into what I'm into.
Yeah, and you were super responsive to my messages. So I know that you definitely practice what you preach.
Well, you're a baller. So yeah, immediately, because we're always looking for like a Steemit influencer of the day to feature on our Twitter. So I thought like, oh, Andrew, perfect. We did Janina's page and it like went viral. It got like 20, 30 retweets and she was trending on the site. So it was really exciting.
Very cool. Is there, I'd definitely be curious to hear more personal details about like the stories behind how you got involved with Genius or how you got involved with Everipedia, like on a almost mundane level, like you're not a technical person. What were the calls? What were the messaging? Who did you message? And then how did that conversation evolve into you becoming a co-founder?
Genius started out just as fun. We weren't trying to even start a company. Tom, who's the CEO, was just, he was a software developer at a hedge fund, but he would always be building apps. The app he built before Genius was called bombsheets.com. It was basically like Casper for bed sheets. That probably could have been $1 billion company too. You know what I mean? So, but the one we picked to work on was Genius, and I was just doing it for fun. I thought it was the lyrics I started putting on it at first weren't like the things that go viral. Like what goes viral on the site is like Kanye West and Drake. But I started out by putting up Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. and like all of the rap that I grew up with. And I didn't even think about making it into wiki. I thought so. The way Tom and I were already friends, we'd been friends. We went to college together, and the way that we became friends outside of college was that I had a blog. So he was like a fan of my blog, and I would write like poetry and funny jokes and stuff like that. And we had some other friends who had blogs too. We were kind of like a writer's circle. So originally I thought RapGenius was just going to be like, my literary intellectual blogger friends breaking down a literary analysis of hip hop. So I thought it was going to be a blog, and like these blogs had started getting best-selling books. Like someone had made a blog called Stuff White People Like.
I
So
remember that.
yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a book like stuff white people like, and get on the New York Times, you know, get a story in the New York Times culture section with us. I never even knew what Y Combinator is. We started getting some traction. The way that we got traction, we didn't even know that lyrics is one of the most searched words on Google. It's at one point it was the second most searched word on Google. So we just started getting a bunch of Google traffic for people searching lyrics, and we're like, wow, we're really onto something. And when Tom applied to Y Combinator, he couldn't decide whether to apply with Bomb Sheets or with Genius. He was debating it until the night before, but then he finally decided to apply with Genius. We got rejected. But then Justin Can wrote a blog post about how brilliant he thinks RapGenius is. So we applied again and we got it. And with Everipedia, I was already like a famous guy. So I had Mucker Capital, who I'm working with now, who was willing to fund any project that I do for my second project. And Sam was a senior at UCLA. I was giving a talk at UCLA. And he came and he showed me my Everipedia. And I had gotten my Wikipedia deleted. Wikipedia deletes like 90% of pages who people put up. So a fan of mine had made my Wikipedia and they had deleted it. So when I saw my Everipedia, I'm like, this is going to be huge. I told him I'll get him funding. And again, I mean, this one we kind of knew, but there's a lot. One of the most popular Google searched words is wiki.
I do that all the time.
People are always looking for Wikipedias for things that are not on Wikipedia. And then you have like these shitty sites who SEO optimize for the word wiki when they're not even wikis. Like famousbirthdays.com is a perfect example. They try to make like fake wannabe Wikipedias for all the Vine stars and social media influencers. Crunchbase is another example. Like Crunchbase, it's really not like, you know, no one's editing. It's like just basically a crappy Wikipedia for startups. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, why not have all of these just be in one giant Wikipedia so that you can rabbit hole? Like, you know, what everyone likes about Wikipedia is the rabbit hole. So now you go on a startup, it says like, oh, the startup's founder went to Harvard. And then you click on Harvard and it tells you the whole history of Harvard University.
Oh, that's like a hobby of mine. Like the idea of a good night in is like a glass of wine and a Wikipedia rabbit hole. Like, World War II, you know, and then just bounce around in there.
World War II is my favorite Wikipedia article of all time. Like that's the one I go to the most.
Yeah, I'm into World War II too, so I get it. I mean, you got Nazis, you got communists. What more do you need?
No, well, because I wrote my senior essay on the Holocaust, so like I was a history major, and then World War II has always been my upset. It's like the most horrifying thing that's ever happened in history. So we have to study it.
Right.
I like to study the scary, horrifying stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to make it not happen anymore. Apparently, people think that like I'm like a troublemaker, but I'm actually trying to be a nice guy.
No, yeah, I totally get it. I'm of the exact same mind. I mean, I want to know more about Hitler. I want to understand what motivated characters like that drove them to do such unspeakable things. Like, if we don't understand what caused these things, like you said, how are we going to prevent them from happening again? But there was a point that you made that I really wanted to highlight, was the accidental nature of how these things came about, especially RapGenius. How it wasn't like you planned every step of the way. It was more about, first of all, doing things that you guys were naturally interested in doing and you wanted to do, and then putting something out there, letting it interact with people. We call it A/B testing now, but it's not as formal as that. It's doing something you're passionate about and then seeing how the world reacts to it, and then engaging with the community that organically develops around it. Like, one of the, you know, and I feel like that's one of the things that's plaguing this space, is that so many people are going, I'm going to design this protocol that's going to solve all of these problems. And we're going to raise all of this money. And we're going to spend 5 years building it. And then we're going to release it. And it's going to be perfect. And what we did was something really different. And I think that it wound up being the biggest strong suit, is that we put out a protocol that could power a Reddit style site. We were like, we can't allow smart contracts on this because that's just going to delay the release. It's going to be an application specific blockchain. But then, you know, and so there's only the smart contract that you need: posts, comments, upvotes, downvotes, and then the distribution of the token. And then they're like, okay, well, we really need to add follows and tags. Obviously, any site like this needs follows and tags. And so they were like, well, let's just add a custom JSON ops field. And that'll just be like our catch-all. And we'll just stick whatever code that we need in that, and the app will use it, but it's not technically being executed by the blockchain. It's not a smart contract. It's just code stored on the blockchain. And now custom JSON ops, like all these apps are using it. There's an app called Steam Monsters. There's an app called Drug Wars. Do you remember Drug Wars?
Yeah, yeah.
There's
I know the Steam community very, very well. It's
wow.
inspiration for the IQ community.
Oh, cool.
What you design, the way I so Tom at RapGenius, his motto was "worse is better," but my way of saying it is quick and dirty. I like it when developers work quick and dirty, and that's how we are at Everipedia too. Everything is quick and dirty. I remember right when people started to build consumer crypto apps, like, so Steemit was the underdog, and then the big Silicon Valley one was Earn.com. And like, it was basically a perfect parable for how to and how not to launch something. Steemit was exactly like you're saying. It was organic, quick and dirty, launch, get traction, iterate. Earn.com was like this centralized thing. Nobody was even using it. They just had a lot of money from Silicon Valley. So total like how not to do it. And that's why they completely crashed and burned. They had to get acqui-hired, whereas Steem is the first thriving crypto community with traction. And for me, the only thing that matters is traction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's
First thing put me onto Steem, shouts out to Nick Tomaino. Nick Tomaino, at the time he was at Coinbase, and now he's got a hedge fund. And he was like, dude, you need to get onto Steem. You're going to be the all-star of Steem.
We can make that happen for sure.
Yeah. I'm so lazy. I need to start getting active. I've got an account, but I need to start getting active. And I've never used any of the other dApps. Like, I got to post onto DTube for sure, because that's the inspiration for what IQ is doing. IQ is trying to build other dApps for the token. We have in a couple months Predict coming out, which is kind of like Augur. So you can bet in future events. And the one I'm really excited about is IQ&A. It's kind of going to be my own version of Quora, because, you know, I got kicked off of Quora about a year before launching Everipedia because I got into a fight with Jimmy Wales.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Quora was the only site that ever verified me. They gave me a check mark, and I used it to make a lot of trouble. But it was crazy because I got into a fight with the guy who pretends he started Wikipedia, and then now I'm going to destroy him.
Interesting. There's plenty I'd love to explore there. I did want to mention that you should check out musing.io. It is a Quora competitor powered by Steem.
Nice. Okay, then that's the first one I got to go to, because I've always been obsessed with Q&A sites. I got into trouble on Ask.fm. My friend Ranadu in Y Combinator launched the video version of Quora called Whale, and I was like the superstar of Whale, and then they shut it down, and I got so upset.
Well, clearly you have no problem generating content.
Totally. Hey, I try to preach quick and dirty for developers, but what I do is also quick and dirty. I'll say whatever. I'm not about like editing and perfecting and things like that. I just like to kick freestyles. You know, I come from hip hop, so that's where I learned the tricks of the trade.
That is a really interesting insight, because it's something I've actually been trying to communicate to people for years in the Steam community. I think it ties back into how you can add value to an organization when you're not an engineer. If you want to build up, if you want to be the community person, the content person, the marketing person, I think you have to understand this aspect of creating content, creating marketing materials. It's the quick and dirty. I always put it differently. I would say put out bad content, but it's the same message. I would say put out bad. If you think it's bad, just put it out.
Yeah, well, Mark Zuckerberg says it more bluntly than any of us. His way of saying it is "fuck it, ship it."
Thanks so much for watching my interview with Mahbod, but if you've got one more second, I'd love to tell you about Steemit.com's new paid advertising program. Steemit.com is the central hub for all things blockchain and cryptocurrency, which is why it gets 18 million unique page views a month. Best of all, it's entirely open source, so advertising not only benefits your bottom line, but it also helps us continue to release free software that's empowering people all over the world by monetizing their content through blockchain technology. That's why, unlike any other advertising platform, our users actually support our paid advertising program. To learn more about advertising on Steemit.com, email advertising@steemit.com.